important, so you gotta speak out. Don't let your chance to be heard pass by. Spell out, let me hear you loud, proud. Shout it out real loud. Everybody wake up. Shout it out real loud. Everybody wake up. Wake up. No time for sleeping on the issues. This is Neutral Voices. We gon' deal with the issues.
Welcome to NV In Depth, and we're going to get really deep into a conversation today, and we have some special guests in the building. We're going to let them introduce themselves, and then we're going to get into the conversation. The gentleman to my left is not a stranger to our podcast, so we're going to let him introduce himself, and then we're going to go on.
All right, hey, everybody. My name is Darius Darling. I'm the CEO of Stay Royal Productions. Excited to be here tonight.
Awesome. My name is Shamika Anderson. I am the CEO of Your Everyday Strategy Consulting Company.
Oh, okay.
Welcome.
Okay.
Thank
That's
you.
good. Then we got Jill in the house and E. Fikes. What up?
Evening.
What's poppin',
How y'all doing?
Good.
That's good. That's good.
Fantastic.
We got to get this energy going. Now, we're going to have a conversation. And this conversation actually has, as Miss Shamika called me out before we got on the show, it has a little undertone to it, but it actually has some education to it as well. Because there's a lot that we don't know, and we perish for lack of knowledge. So we want to embrace this knowledge and give everything. Now, we were going to talk about why we're in a struggling community. Mm-hmm. And we can look over our community and we can see that we're struggling in many areas. But if our whole community is not fully functioning, we're going to struggle. Mm-hmm. And there's a part of our community that is overlooked and not treated fairly. Mm-hmm. And now, we're going to talk about formerly convicted felons. Mm-hmm.
Exonerated.
The ones that have
not exonerated. Gotcha.
The ones that have served their debt to society, did all that they have to do, but they're still living a life behind an 8-ball.
Yeah.
You know, and there's some rights and there's some privileges that they don't have. Yeah. But some of them are myths. Some of them are facts, but some of them are myths. Mm-hmm. They've just been told over time what they can or cannot do.
That is true.
So we're going to educate them so they'll know what they are able to do. Right. Now, in Indiana, we're going to get to this.
Uh-oh.
Indiana. You know, Indiana is one of the strictest people on felons.
Mm-hmm. I can believe it.
Yeah, really. Mm-hmm. Now, and I'm going to put this disclaimer out before I get on here because I'm always transparent. Now, I'm not going to say that I believe all felons deserve rehabilitation. There's a certain group of felons, just a certain group of felons that I feel that you shouldn't have a chance to rehabilitate and your victim never recovers. So, and those are, and I'm going to be honest, those are child molesters and sex offenders.
That's not godly, though, is it?
We're gonna put a pin in that because we can come back to that conversation.
I said me.
That's fair.
But I'm an opinion on anybody else.
The opinion spoken by C Stacks are the okay, and Ms. Jill.
I'm with him on that.
Those are my personal.
All day,
but here's where we are. But let's talk about the ones that I believe everybody deserves a second chance. I really do. Now, the one thing that they say Indiana, all felons, when they come out, they tell them that a lot of their rights have been taken away from them. Mm-hmm. But that's not always true. It's not always true. But then there's some people and there's some groups that treat people and they make you feel like you don't have rights like normal citizens.
Right. Mm-hmm.
You know, they say you can't vote. Mm-hmm. They say you can't vote. There are some states where you can. Once you're a felon, you do not get that right back.
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
That is true.
You know something? With that being said, if I'm a felon and I'm in that state that can't get my voting rights, I shouldn't have to pay taxes. Because if I don't have a say-so, in what y'all do into the government, you don't have a say-so in what I get out of my wallet.
And you'll be the perfect candidate to run for political office. Point in case.
Mm-hmm. You can't run for a political office.
Well, I'm saying with that knowledge, that viewpoint to spread that messaging, right?
Let's make it make sense.
Yeah, I think that's something that we would definitely have to talk about and consider because if we are looking at convicted felons as people that are no longer able to contribute to society, right? We're taking all of their contributions that they can make. Right. So why are we making them make a contribution that that they shouldn't be able to make anyway? They're not benefiting from our system or they're not contributing to our system, why should they be inputting their financial? Why would we be benefiting from their system?
That's true.
I mean, listen. I'm standing with you on that one. Now. That's it. Right?
Great point of view.
Well, just to put that in perspective, it is a problem because 4.4 million people were ineligible to vote based on their conviction. So just put that out there. It's not everywhere, but when you look at that number, and then if you break the number down to see the demographics of those people that were unable to vote.
And when you look at 4.4 million, you think about, and you think about the gap that was there in the 2016 election.
Prior to.
Right.
Or the 2020.
Or the 2020 election.
Right.
The gaps that are there that says, oh, wait, if those 4.4 million people could have voted, this could have turned out a different way. Not saying that everybody would vote one way or another. That brings together a group of votes that you're like, wait a second. Yeah. And that's why you also saw a lot of states thereafter looking at how can I get convicted felons the right to vote, or how can I make sure that they don't have the right to vote during that time frame, the early 2000s.
I don't know. Is it one of these states? Is a couple of states that the prisoners literally have a voting ballot in the prison.
Maine and Vermont.
Yep.
Exactly. Yeah.
Maine and Vermont.
So I mean, they want their prisoners to vote.
Yeah.
And so and then we have to be really careful because convicted felons can't vote in national or federal elections, but in some states they can vote in state elections and city elections
and local. Yep.
And so your state and your locals. Absolutely. So we have to, as a community, I think one of the things that we have to do in this working together and talking about these things, we have to provide the resources to our folks, brothers and sisters who are coming home from jail to say, hey, listen, here's what's available to you. Not just, here's a housing voucher, here's bus tickets, make your own way. But hey, now that you're back, here are some things that you have access to once again.
Right.
Ms. Shamika, hold. I think you had a point.
I was going to just quickly say, we as a people, I'm registered to vote. I vote in every election. I feel that is, people died for my right, and I'm going to exercise it, right? I firmly believe in that. Now, I can go and vote for whomever I choose for the president of the United States. That vote doesn't mean anything because it's electoral college, right?
We can talk about that.
So even though we have 4.4 million citizens who vote or who may not be eligible to vote, even if they could vote, those 22 or whatever your electoral college position is in your state, those are the people who are in disguise who actually select for your state who gets that presidential bid for your state.
But we got to remember that in the way that the system is set up, they are getting their votes. That electoral college is just a smaller number of individuals who are meant to represent the state's decision.
Absolutely.
So the electoral college doesn't have any power outside of the power that the state has. Correct. However, because of the way that the electoral votes of the electoral college is set up, the votes that are there is disproportionate. Right. It's disproportionate. Right.
But in the state of Indiana, as long as you're not in any correctional line, you're not on probation, not on parole.
No, that's where you're wrong at. Yep. That's where you're wrong at. I can pull it up.
Did that change?
It is.
Pull it up. Put it up. Hold on. If it changed, I knew at one point, as long as you were in some kind of correctional system, you couldn't vote. Has that changed?
Yes. Do you have the correct up on?
Yeah. So as long as if you're not if you're incarcerated, you can't vote. Okay. But if you're on parole, probation, or any of that, hey, they encourage you to vote.
In state elections and in federal elections?
Yes, that is correct.
Yes, they encourage you.
Yep.
Okay.
Wonderful.
My brother's convicted felon served 10 years in federal prison, and for the last election, I actually helped him too. Like, I didn't do it, but I showed him the website, and he actually registered for himself to vote, and he voted for the very first time at the last election. So I'm super proud of my brother.
Yeah. But Darius, you hit on something, and we're going to get into deeper in the conversation. Another thing is, certain felonies, you can't live in certain areas. You can't in certain apartments in certain places. They don't. So you come out. You can't live somewhere.
Yep.
You can't work in certain places. There are places that hire, but you can't live somewhere. So there's all these other restrictions. You didn't already served your time, already done your time. Be it 5 years, be it 10 years, be it 50 years. You've done your time. But you still are behind.
You're disadvantaged. And then there's no recidivism is the word that I hear all the time. And there's no classes. There's no support. And they say that stuff you're supposed to get on the inside. But our prison system is so jacked up that they're not training. They're not doing the civilian training or any of those type of things. So if we're gonna do those type of things, we need to definitely start positioning them with the resources that they can come out and contribute to society.
Right.
Well, when you take the library out the prison,
You took, exactly.
That's the main thing, because when you have a lot of guys that's in prison and they trying to figure out their case and they understand that, okay, I could go to the law library and get XYZ to figure out how can I move some things or get out sooner, and then have an education when they get out, say, okay, I'm educated enough to say, okay, I want to be a part of this community and help other felons get out. Now, when you remove that, what do you have?
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, at some point, you got to let them educate themselves or get educated so they won't go back into the revolving door. They leaving it as a revolving door purposely, because guess what? I can make $300 something a day, if not more, while you just sitting in my facility.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Now, Jill, you worked with former in the housing area at one point in time.
Yep.
There's two areas that you worked in that we're going to discuss. But housing, and you spoke previously that you had to turn people away because of why is that a statute or program, or why is that a thought?
Like it was stated earlier, I mean, if you can serve your time, whether it be 5 years, 20 years, whatever, for your felony. But when you come out, those punishments are still in place. It's just a completely different realm. And the reason I say that is, on average, do you know how long it takes a felon when they come out to find employment? On average, take a guess.
I would say a year.
6 months.
6
Think
months,
about what could happen in 6 months. So if you're on parole, your probation, you have what? You have fees. They want you to work. Well, maybe you have an ankle monitor, so you can't leave the county. So you already have this much to work with. So then on top of that, let's say you're a black male. So let's think it a little bit. So let's say that you have a violent felony. So you see what I'm getting at.
Right.
So they're picking from jobs that are like this. So on top of that, I have men who are in their 40s who come out of prison who do not know how to fill out a job application. I have men who come out who don't know how to read. They don't know what it's like to have a bank account, or why they should have their social security number, why they should know it. So the system is not set up for those that are incarcerated to come out and be successful. Otherwise, there wouldn't be more resources out here for them than there is inside.
Right. And that's the employment is one thing. Now there are many lists that's going around about employers and that will hire felons. And I know Blue Jacket here, which is right up the street, they do help felons with getting back jobs and a whole lot of different other things. But one of the things is with jobs that we talked about earlier is the box on the application. And Darius, you were speaking from an HR perspective. Now, Indiana, they're not supposed to ask.
So I'm going to share this as the CEO of Stay Royal Productions. Okay. It is very common that when you have an application, when you have a candidate, that candidate goes to an interview and they're asked to complete a background check form. Once that background screen comes back, that employer now has all of their information, has their history of their felony, their misdemeanor, their traffic tickets, whatever may be on there. And at that time, that employer has a business decision to make. Is this something that I don't want to hire somebody for? Or is this something that I'm going to, excuse and give this person an opportunity or a chance? And so I think in the business community, one thing that we have to continue to do is, even if we're going to do those background screens and we see those hits, we need to give people an opportunity to either explain it, or we need to have that conversation with them. I think that so many employers, if they see something in that time, in a time frame, even let's call it 10 years. 10 years ago, they got this felony.
Right.
But what have they done since then?
Yes.
Okay, now that you see that that's what they have, does that change your opinion of them, of how they interview?
Right.
Like,
Right.
that didn't change anything.
Right.
So if I just sat here and had a hour and a half, 2 hour conversation with you, and I really like you for this position, and I'm ready to make you an offer, but then I get your background screen back and it says, oh, he has a felony.
Yeah.
So now I have a decision to make. Right. But I just had this great conversation with you. I understand what we're getting ready to get out of this relationship, this partnership, this employment opportunity.
Right.
And now this may change my mind. And I asked that with a question mark intentionally.
Right. But it happens. And the funny thing is, I've worked for the same company for a number of years. I just switched positions. They had to run a background check. I've been working
internally,
for you. Yes. And hold on, they didn't just run a simple background check. They ran an FBI background check, and I'm like, man, I've been working here forever. So obviously, but no, seriously. But I understand what you're saying. But a lot of employers, and E was going to mention this, but a lot of employers they get incentives to hire felons, but it's only for a little while. And I remember, when Welfare to Work was out, there was a grocery store chain that would hire people for 6 months. And after 6 months, they keep on the payroll, but they get 1 day a week.
Until they quit.
Until they quit.
I'm going to give it to you. If I could get $9,600 off of taxes per felon, guess what?
$9,600 per felon?
No,
$9,600. $9,600.
Yeah, $9,600 per felon. Guess what I'm finna do?
Hire me some felons.
I'm finna load up on me some felons and keep them. I mean, let's make it make sense. And a lot of people fail to realize and don't understand. A felon is not. He's a person.
Right.
He or she are people. So you want to hold them down to the simple fact that, oh, you did X, Y, Z. Now there are some, to me, I'm just gonna lay it out there. Nah, I can't. You should honestly get the death penalty, and I'm talking about rapists and pedophiles. You should be done, because what you have done to a person, they can never get back. Period. So with me, on that end, if you didn't rape somebody, especially if you didn't rape a child, even when you go to prison, they find out that you didn't rape a child, hey, you might not make it out of there alive.
You should.
So you have to understand, like, certain things I can't deal with. But when you coming out and say you did a murder and you got 40 years, okay, hopefully you can rehabilitate yourself where you won't murder nobody else. You know what I'm saying? You're a drug dealer. Okay, you did your bid. Come on home. Let's go to work. Let's be legit. I mean, honestly, as a drug dealer, you was a businessman. So take what you did evil and flip it off into something good, because you already know how to run a business.
Right. I think we too forget of the benefits, like not just these big companies that say they'll hire felons, but business owners in our community, because we forget how helpful it is to put felons to work when they come out. Because what's the alternative? If you are in prison for 20 years for drug charges and you get out and it takes you longer than a month to find a job, what is the first thing that you're going to go back to doing? You're going to go back on the streets, because this is too hard. So now, not only am I putting myself in a position, but now my neighbors are in a position, my children. So strengthening families, putting people who have made mistakes to work, like benefits every single community.
Right. What's the benefits for the government?
Right, but Ms. Jill, you was just saying it takes them 6 months to get a job. My thing is, in that 6 months, I still got bills.
Yep.
I got new. I was going to have.
And if you don't pay your fees, you're going back to jail.
If I don't pay my fees, I'm going back to jail.
So it's easier to just go back to what put me in there in the first place.
and then hope not to get caught.
Yep.
It's a benefit. It's
crazy. I'm going to tell y'all something. Up until January 1st, 2020, drug dealers or drug felons, if you had a drug felony in the state of Indiana, you were ineligible for food stamps. So you can't eat. You're not working.
Right.
And
You
you
know,
can't get
gotta do
subsidized
something.
housing.
And you can't get subsidized housing.
Can't get subsidized
But you don't
housing.
want me to sell drugs.
But
And that's the only way I'm gonna get what I need.
but the problem is, you see how much they're encumbered by after they've served their debt
Yes.
to society.
Yes.
So what's like everybody's saying? Why isn't there any more services? Why isn't there any more rehabilitation? Why isn't there a pathway? There's a path. There's a school to prison pipeline. Why isn't there a pathway coming out that you?
And there won't be.
Once again,
There won't be.
there's no benefit to the government.
Yeah.
If I get you out, if you come out of prison, you go straight back to work, and you go make that money.
Yeah.
The only reason there's no benefit because at the end of the day, guess what? I'm going to force you to go back to do what you used to do.
Absolutely. So let me say this. So my firm belief is lack of education causes systematic shutdowns. And we see it, friends that we go to school with, I have relatives. They don't want to learn anything past 5th, 6th grade. They kind of check out. They don't understand what life is like.
Right.
Number one, they're not traveled. They've not been outside that quadrant of where they live at. They don't want to. They don't know what else is out there. Second thing is I don't feel like there's a pipeline to education because the system wasn't created for minorities to thrive.
Correct.
It was created for them to be subordinate workers where you're going to clock in, you're going to do these menial tasks, and you're going to clock out. It wasn't designed for them to be entrepreneurs who create multi-billion-dollar companies. There's a company that I know very prominent. They hire prison employees in prison to do their daily task.
Right.
Now, you're working at this Fortune 100 company.
Yes.
Doing whatever they're asking you to do inside of the prison walls. You get outside of the prison walls,
They won't
you
touch you.
cannot get a job there.
You want to know why? And I know the company. I'm not going to put up because it's a
More than
security
one.
clearance.
It's more
one of
than
them, but one of them was one of y'all credit card companies. I won't say it, but it's a security clearance.
And they're
that they-
taking calls.
Yeah.
Hi, thank you for calling such and such.
Yeah.
How may I help you?
But they can't get the security clearance to work in their financial agency. When they get out, they cannot get that security clearance to work in that.
Here's my thing.
Craziness.
When I get out, one, I got to do my time. Two, when I get out, didn't I do my time already?
Correct.
Not enough.
Why am I missing? Why am I missing out on opportunities that are given to me as a citizen?
Right.
Before I was a felon, I was a citizen.
Right. And after you're a felon, you're supposed.
After I'm a felon, after I did this thing, and that didn't take me out of society.
No.
That didn't take me out. I still got a Social Security card.
But you're a different
I still
class
got a
citizen.
Yeah.
See, and I think
But
that
I don't think
that's
you
where I
should
think
be.
that's where we mess up.
Right.
Is that we look at felons as being a different class.
Correct.
And they're not. They're still people. They are still individuals who have they may have done something. We all done did something that
Right.
we probably should have went to jail for.
Exactly.
Don't nobody know.
I ain't gonna tell you. I took some
Here he goes.
I took some Pokemon cards and Yu-Gi-Oh from the Target. I mean, I did. I mean, I didn't know.
Did you not know no better?
Just so we're
absolutely.
clear.
They can't come back and get me because they don't know how much it costs no more.
Here's a major thing about being a felon. If you don't have a strong support system
Yes.
outside the prison, outside your probation, outside your parole. So a lot of them don't because some of them was the support system.
Yes.
Now the support system has failed. Now the smartest thing, and like I said, the government is going to makes money off felons. That's why they want to keep them as a felon or keep them in that system, in that realm. But if they were smart, to stop the revolving door. So let's have a prison that does strictly trades. That's too much like right.
They did. They took that out.
Yeah,
They had them before.
yeah.
It's still
now,
in Indiana, I believe. That's one of the governor's initiatives currently. The trades, improving the trades.
Is he going to bring Penn Industries back? Because that's what it used to be, Prison Enterprise or something.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now let's get the law libraries back in there. Let's let them read instead of putting them through some bull crap classes where they cut their time. Let's make them go to class, go to college, get associate's degree, to cut your time out. Now you educated somewhat. And when I'm saying somewhat, it depends on how you use it.
Right.
Now you got the knowledge. Now let's turn that knowledge into wisdom by coming out into the world and using it.
Absolutely.
Correct.
Yep. I 100% agree. I have an MBA. I agree with education. My thing is entrepreneurship is trial by fire learning, right? You don't have to be a CPA to do your books. You have to understand, if I got $100 income, how do I expense this $100 and make sure that it tracks, right? So you talk and you network with people and help them, and you find your network of people that you know, love, and you trust, and that's how you build that skill set. You don't have to go to college to be educated, and I think the trajectory is changing because people are starting to see that, oh, well, you know what, now the students that we thought were going to go to college, the enrollment is down, they're starting these social media influencer journeys, and so now we have no choice. We are forced to now make sure that we accommodate the people who we thought paid their debt to society, because we need our companies to flourish.
And the thing is, these schools are willing to be more accommodating because they're not getting the students they need. They're not getting the numbers. So I'm going to go ahead and open up some new programs and offer some new programs so I can stay open. But in all actuality, and I'm just then we get into the diploma mill of education, and that scares me. That when higher education says, hey, I got to get students from somewhere, and now I'm just bringing students through and pushing them through so that I can get people with diploma, I can get this money from the government, I can get this financial aid, I can get these different things, and using people who are, let's call it, less fortunate or have been put in a difficult situation now to benefit that school system. I just think that we get down into this slippery slope when it comes to that.
That's true. Now I don't know, because I'm not going to tell you how many years I've been out of college, but I don't 100. I don't know if there. But I knew at a point in time that felons couldn't get financial aid, or there were certain financial aids that they couldn't get. So I'm not aware. Has that changed? Are they still?
I'd have to do research on that, but I think as long as you are affiliated, they can now. Okay.
They can get financial aid. They can get. Actually, they have a whole
list of grants
of financial aid or federal government that they can get.
That's good. That's good. You know.
But here's my thing: if we are not given, and I'm just going to say it because I get to just say it. If we're not going to give felons the right to vote when they come out,
why give them a student loan they got to pay back?
Why give them a student loan that they got to pay back?
Can't get rid of.
That they can't get rid of, and it's going to be on their credit score. And then why, if I can't vote for this, and E said it earlier, why do I got to pay taxes? Why do I got to pay this student loan back? All that situation. And then if they can't even vote, how can one of them run for the president of the United States?
Shut your mouth for calling me yesterday.
Well, and let's be all honest.
Can't even vote in the state that he. Never mind.
Right. In all honesty, let's talk about this, because this is one of the things when I was thinking about this conversation. There's so many people of color that have been eliminated from society for years. I know that there's been changes, but for years they were eliminated from society for one reason or another. Now, I was 18. I made a mistake. I served my time. I'm 40. Why is that still haunting me? Why can't I come over? You know, so felonies are harsher or scrutinized more by certain demographics. But you're going to tell me, as you said, in several of those states, and two of those states that he was talking about was Florida and Georgia. Those were the two states that had the highest felony elimination from voting. Two of the states that support this felon that's want to run for, office. In Indiana, you can't even run for a public office
if you have
a felony. So how's he going to be on the Indiana ballot as a felon? So what I'm saying is, what makes felons different? What makes past felons different than felons now?
I think there has to be deeper conversations, and conversations that are not politicized, but are truly looking at getting at the root of the problem and getting to solutions. Because the problem is truly that we're looking at people as different than someone else.
Right.
And if we be true, and if the Christian faith be true, everybody was created in the image of God.
Yes.
So whether you convicted a felony, or you've been Mother Teresa on earth, at the end of the day, you were still created in the image of God. And so with that being the case, you have to be able to, we need to rectify that with how do we make sure that people who have felonies on their record and people who don't have the same rights once they have served their time or done what has been necessary.
Yeah, that's what this is all about.
Absolutely.
Now, if you are a felon, we're going to put up some resources, some websites, places of hiring and things, and also where you can find out your rights. Do not think that you can't unless you know that you can't.
Absolutely.
Correct.
You know, too many times we were led astray. We were told we couldn't, so we didn't. So let's find out the truth. And that's what we're here about, to provide the truth and to educate and enlighten. We want to thank our guests, Darius, Miss Shamika,
Thank you.
Jill E. I think this was a great conversation. We're going to have some more of these. But we want to thank you all again for watching and staying with us. And E, before we leave our people, what do we say every night?
Always protect your mind.
A podcast by Neutral Voices Media
Count
Group,
your opinions important, so you gotta speak out. Don't let your chance to be heard pass by. Spare not, let me hear you now. Shout it out real loud. Everybody wake up. Shout it out real loud. Everybody wake up. Wake up. No time for sleeping on the issues. This is Neutral Voices. We gon' deal with the issues.